But first, Burma's military junta has outraged the international community again by evicting cyclone survivors from displacement camps and directing them to go home to the devastated Irrawaddy Delta. UN aid workers say that more than 500,000 cyclone victims have still not received aid. The US Defense Secretary, Robert Gates, has lashed out at the generals, saying the junta's obstruction of the international relief effort in Burma has cost tens of thousands of lives.
An aid worker distributes food to Cyclone Naga survivors in a displacement camp. Residents tell the Oslo-based Democratic Voice of Burma they're being forced to return to their cyclone-ravaged village, that there's nothing to return to and no plan to help them. The International Human Rights Watch says displaced Burmese sheltering in monasteries, schools and public buildings are also being pushed out. The United Nations Children's Fund says the military is also evicting destitute families from government-run cyclone relief centres, some of which have been used by the junta to showcase its relief effort. Locals and aid workers say 39 camps south of Rangoon are being cleared. UN aid groups warn that it'll put thousands at risk.
They would pretty much become invisible and inaccessible to humanitarian workers, and therefore really facing all of us with a risk of a second wave of disease and disaster.
People need to be assisted in their settlements, and satisfactory conditions need to be created before they can return to their place of origin.
4 weeks after the cyclone left 2.4 million people homeless, the UN says fewer than half have received any form of help, despite the junta's agreement to give international aid workers access to them. The international community's frustration with the junta's intransigence has been raised at the 26-nation Asia-Pacific Security Conference in Singapore.
At a cost of tens of thousands of lives. Many other countries besides the United States also have felt hindered in their efforts. Despite these obstructions, we continue to get help into Burma and remain poised to provide more.
Singapore's Prime Minister said the frustration was entirely understandable.
The military leaders surely know that foreign aid will save lives and help to rebuild the devastated areas. But they also fear the political consequences of opening up the disaster zone to international teams. This might show up their own incapacity and undermine their credibility and legitimacy.
Lashing out in its official newspaper at its critics and foreign aid donors, the junta says cyclone victims don't need chocolate bars. It says they can survive by eating frogs and fish. The junta's been promised just $150 million of the $11 billion it asked for. It's now condemning the donors for linking their cash promises to full access to the Irrawaddy Delta. And it's again insisting that Burma can survive without outside help. Ross Cameron, World News Australia.